Luke is a 13-year-old black male that attends 7th grade at Gosnell Junior High School. Luke lives at home with his mother, his father, and his twin brother. Luke and his twin brother were born premature at 32 weeks. They were both born by cesarean section, and they were hospitalized for approximately 1 week before being released from the hospital. Luke has a medical history of ear infections. He has been diagnosed with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and that is being treated with medication. Luke was first placed in special education in January of 2012. He was a kindergarten student at the time, and he received services in speech language and resource math, resource language, and resource reading. Luke continued receiving resource class until his 4th grade year, in which he was then placed in the self-contained classroom setting. Luke has remained in the self-contained classroom setting until this year, and they have moved him into the resource setting again for all academic areas. Luke is not receiving any other services other than resource. Luke was, during the evaluation, Luke worked really hard with the examiner. He did have trouble with attention to task. He had trouble with verbal comprehension. But rapport was easily established, and he responded well to the prompting and attempted all the tasks that were given to him. Luke was given the Reynolds Intellectual Assessment Scale 2nd edition assessment. This is an individually administered diagnostic tool that's used to assess intellectual functioning in individuals ages 3 to 94. The Reynolds Intellectual Assessment 2nd edition provides 3 intelligent indexes. The Verbal Intelligence Index, which is a summary estimate of verbal intelligence. It measures answers he has to verbally give. The Nonverbal Intelligence Index, which is a summary estimate of nonverbal intelligence. It measures answers that do not require a verbal response, such as manipulating items. The Composite Intelligence Index, which is a summary estimate of general intelligence. Excuse me. The Reynolds Intellectual Assessment 2nd edition also includes supplemental summary estimates of memory and processing speed. Luke received a Verbal Intelligence Index score of 66. The average range of intelligence is between 90 and 110, with 100 being right as average. Luke's Verbal Intelligence Index of 66, as you can see, is quite below that 90 to 110 range. The score fell in the 1st percentile, which means he scored as well as or better than 1 out of 100 students his age. Luke's Nonverbal Intelligence Index was 88, placing him in the 21st percentile. Again, this is still below that 90 to 110 range. And it means that he scored better than or as well as 21 out of 100 students his age. His Composite Intelligence Index is 74, which placed him in the 4th percentile. Again, this is well below that 90 to 110 range, and it shows that he scored as well as or as better than 4 out of 100 students his age. His verbal intelligence is extremely low, while his nonverbal intelligence is within the low average range and appears to be a relatively cognitive strength. The Kaufman Test of Educational Achievement 3rd edition provides a measure of academic achievement for grades pre-K through 12. This identifies student academic strengths and weaknesses in math, reading, and written language. It provides a standard score so that you can compare other assessments to it. Luke's letter and word recognition was 60, and that fell below less than 1 percentile, which means he scored less than or as well as less than 1% out of 100 students. Again, he did fall below that 90 to 100 range and with the 60. His reading comprehension was 64, a standard score of 64, and that placed him in the 1st percentile, meaning he scored as well as or better than 1 out of 100 students his age. His word recognition fluency, 56, in the 1st percentile. Again, he is below that level of, he is well below the level of functioning. Math concepts and applications was a 73, and he was placed in the 4th percentile, which means he scored as well as or better than 4 out of 100 students his age. Math computation was had a standard score of 74 in the 4th percentile. Again, he scored as well as or better than 4 out of 100 students his age. His written language was 60, and it was below the 1 percentile, which means he scored as well as or better than less than 1% out of 100 students, or less than 1 out of 100 students his age. Sorry. His academic achievement is well below average to extremely low average in these areas of reading and writing. His grade level functioning is approximately beginning to middle 1st grade. In the areas of math, his achievement is well below average range. His grade functioning is approximately middle 2nd grade. Luke was also administered a curriculum-based assessment. This assessment uses materials taken from the curriculum to measure the student's mastery in academic areas of reading, spelling, math, and writing. Luke often adds or omits sounds when attempting to decode unfamiliar words. He had letter combination errors, and B and D reversals were noted. His fluency and comprehension were also identified as reading skill deficits. Luke does not fluently recall math facts, and he often uses finger counting strategies for calculations. Additional math deficits included applied math solving problems, subtraction with regrouping, multi-digit multiplication and division. Spelling is poor, and letter combination errors were noted in all positions. Luke can write basic sentences with initial capitalization and ending punctuation. He has difficulty generating ideas and developing and organizing writing. Combining ideas into compound and complex sentences was also identified as a writing deficit. Luke was administered an adaptive behavior evaluation. This was completed by his self-contained classroom teacher in the areas of communication, self-care, social, leisure, self-direction, functional academics, home living, community use, health and safety, and work. It was also given a quotient. And Luke's overall quotient of 75 for his adaptive skills shows that he is in the 15th percentile. He's below the normal range of behavior. He has serious adaptive behaviors were identified in these individual areas of communication and functional assessment.